What's up, everyone? This is Rodel here, and this is the What's Your Five podcast. My name is Rodel, and I have Anthony over here.
What's up?
Hey, so today's episode is episode 3. Super duper exciting. Today we're going to be talking about our top 5 TV shows. But first, I wanted to say, how are you doing, Anthony? What's going on? How was your week?
Amped up, dude. Amped up because this is the one I've been kind of waiting on. We've already covered top albums,
right,
top movies. And then when we got to this one and I started putting it together, I'm just like, oh, my list is going to rock for this one. Like, I'm suspecting we're going to have at least 2 things matching on our list.
Okay.
And then the second thing I suspect is that my list is going to be a lot better than yours.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Well, first of all, my list is going to be awesome. Second of all, my list is going to be super awesome compared to yours. So with that out of the way, I wanted to kind of start off this real quick by saying thank you guys for listening to us. If you have any inkling to listen to the whole conversation, or if you guys want to see any previous lists, you guys are more than welcome to go to our website at whatsyour5.com. That's whatsyour5, the number 5.com. And if you have any topics that you want to discuss, or if you want to send us your own top 5 for previous topics that we discussed, you can always reach us at topics@whatsyour5.com. And if you're listening to us, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, so that way you guys will be able to get that notification when you get our episode going on. With that out of the way, I wanted to kind of start off before anything. I know I asked Anthony how his week was. I wanted to kind of tell you how my week was.
Can I breeze through mine? Because I want you to tell them what you're about to tell me.
So I bought a DJ controller. A DJ controller, meaning that, it's a digital DJ controller, had like little digital jog wheels, and I was super duper pumped about it because I wanted to learn how to beat match and actually be a DJ, not necessarily play for the clubs and go to Hoxton, go to Vegas, go like, hey, no, none of that. I just wanted to do it because it was a personal passion of mine. When I was growing up, I sold my old set a long time ago, and then now I had this new set. I was like, great, sweet, this is gonna be awesome. And then this week I just decided, I'm like, you know what, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I have the time or the I guess the aptitude, to really learn it. Maybe I'm just getting old. I mean, what do you think?
How long has it been since you bought it, and how long of a span until you gave up?
So I'm gonna say I bought it about a month and a half ago. And then I gave up about like 2 weeks ago, because the reality of it is that.
So it took you 2 weeks, really, if you do the math.
It took me 2 weeks, and I think it just came down to I just don't have the time. I thought I had the time. I thought quarantine and COVID. And I'm just like, you know what? I'll be able to take this hobby of mine that I love hip hop and all this music, and I'll be able to mix these like genres together, like hip hop and K-pop, and see how cool that would be. And then I was just like, no, I couldn't do it.
What did you obviously had a vision of this in your mind's eye when you did it.
I did.
And you romanticized it, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be DJ geriatric, and I'm going to be cutting and scratching and putting together mixes, and I'm going to do this a certain amount of, I'm going to start putting mix. So, I mean, how far did you get with it?
I got to the point where I loaded all my music up, and I started mixing a K-pop song with Allure. What was the song called? Head Over Heels, because they're using the same beat, right? So Head Over Heels with Nas. And then there's a K-pop song by Highs. It's called Angelai, and they have pretty much the same exact beat. So I was trying to see if I could beat match it to where I can go back and forth. And then I was like, how do these people like transition this stuff? And so I'm like looking on YouTube, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, I know how to beat match. I understand the whole, the parts, or where it's BPMs and you match all this stuff, but what I don't understand is the transition part. That's the part that I was like, it blew my mind.
There's a knob called crossfade. So you want to use that to go from one to the other.
I'm aware of this crossfade. Thank you, kept the obvious. But there's different types of fades, right? There's like a knob fade where you take out the bass and then you just have like the treble going and then you mix over to the other song.
Sure.
A whole different type of, scenario. So, I mean, shout outs to all the DJs, man. The DJs are, it's an art in itself, and it's just something that I truly admire. But yeah, I sold it. But the nice thing is that
you sold it?
I did.
You sold the kit already?
I sold the kit, but here.
So you can't even go back to it. You can't even go, oh no, I made a mistake, and let me give this another chance.
I probably could if I really wanted to. I'm a huge junkie for Facebook Marketplace, just FYI. So I bought this unit on Facebook Marketplace for $100. I literally stocked this thing for like months before I was able to buy it. Then this guy, I bought it and I was great. I got all the stuff. I was ready to go. And then I sold it to another guy for $120. So I'm like, all right, I made my money back plus $20. So I was able to get a burrito and get my money back. So I'm all right.
At least you didn't lose anything.
I did not. And
I will point out, though, you spent more time looking for it and waiting to get it than you did actually trying to master it.
I sure did. And you know what? A part of me is the hunt. That's one thing that I truly love is I love hunting for deals. And I know that sounds super cliche, but I will go to town. I will try to haggle you to your last dollar as much as I can to get the best deal. If retail stores would allow me to haggle, I would do it in a heartbeat, like for sure. Like buying cars, I know people are like, oh, like I hate buying cars. It takes forever and this and that. I love it because like I love putting those dudes under sweat and just be like, hey, this is my down offer. And they're like, no, we can't do that. All right, dude, it's cool, no problem. You're like, no, wait, hold on a second. I'm all like, yeah, that's what I thought. Bring it on, buddy.
I am the Frank Dukes of this financial blood sport.
The fastest knockout. Or the fastest car buying. Yeah.
New world record.
Let's start it off, man. So top 5 TV shows all time, no genre defined. So this is no holds barred, right? So again, we're going back to, we went top 5 movies, right? Genre, no genre specific. Top 5 music, no genre specific. So this is top 5 TV shows.
Wild West.
Wild West, indeed. And so because you started the movies, I'm gonna kick it back to myself. Number 5 TV show of all time is got to be Mr. Chappelle himself, The Chappelle Show.
Yeah. Can't debate that one.
Can't debate it. No.
One of the best sketch comedy shows to exist.
Indeed.
Aside from like, I guess it's on par with like In Living Color and stuff, right?
And you know what? In Living Color was definitely going to be up there, but I was like, you know what? If I was going to choose between Living Color and Chappelle Show, I mean, I was an adult. Yeah, I was an adult watching a Chappelle Show, so it definitely was more, meaningful to me. And I got a lot more references. I think with In Living Color, because it was in the early 90s, I was still, very, early teens and stuff like that. I mean, Homie the Clown was still funny as hell, and all the other stuff. But Chappelle Show just took it to a whole nother level. And, I even watched Chappelle's stand-up comedies prior to, right? So I stand-up prior to, so Killing Me Softly, all this stuff on Def Comedy Jam. I mean, I was a huge fan even before he had a show. And when he had his show, I was like, this is going to be kind of cool. I mean, I'm glad that he has his own show. It just, insane comedy, dialogue written so well, and just so much good hurt laughs, and Players Ball. Oh god, just there's so many good skits on there.
The first one, him being the
the Black White
the blind Klansman.
Yeah,
and I didn't understand the transition because I think my first memory of Chappelle was on Half Baked. And he was on Half Baked. I was just like, that's fine. It was like how high was, and it was fine. And then he got this show, and this show like blew up like crazy.
Right.
And I was like, oh, the guy from Half Baked, like really? And I mean, that thing, I guess they just gave him the freedom to do what he wants, and he just took it to the next level.
Yeah. And this is, I think it was 2003, 2004 ish, as far as, when this came out. So, I mean, it was just, the height of the times, just, new millennium type of deal, just so much good stuff coming out there. So it was, it's good times. That was my number 5. I love Chappelle Show. I love Dave Chappelle himself. He's just one of the greatest comedians of all time. So that's my 5. The floor is yours, sir.
My number 5. Okay, so it's actually a show that I have probably not watched in 20 years.
Okay.
15, 20 years maybe since I watched this show. And that was the reason that I put it on the list because, again, I always go with that mentality. I'm stuck on Mars. I've got nothing else with me but these 5. So I had to put The Simpsons on there.
Hey, all right. Can't argue with that one.
I used to like The Simpsons.
Yep.
I watched it for years and years and years, and it just kept on going, and then I lost track of it.
Yep.
So I'm just like, hey, look, if I'm stuck with any one sitcom, this show has been on for like 30, 40 years, and I probably not even watched half of it. So I'd actually have years of content of The Simpsons worth to watch. I don't know if it's as good as it was. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably had high seasons and low seasons, like South Park or whatever.
Yep.
But I remember liking it way back in the day, and it's just like, you know what? If I'm stuck with 5 shows, I'm gonna watch one that has so many episodes. I'm not gonna, be watching the same one every month. That I can probably watch it for years before I could ever get through it all. I think it takes like, don't quote me on it, but I think it takes like 4.5 years to get through every Simpsons episode if you only watch that. I want to say I heard that somewhere.
Wow.
That's, like watching every episode.
Like how somebody would watch like, Friends for like months on end, like just like every single episode in sequential order type of deal. Totally. I can.
Yeah. If you binge it and try to get through it, I think it still takes like years to like get through all of it. 40 years worth of content, I guess.
Just it's 684 episodes. Something along the lines of that.
Each of them a half hour, right?
Yeah, each of them a half hour. Debuted in 1989. So keep that in mind. I loved The Simpsons growing up. That was one of those shows where it was 8:00 on Sundays on Fox. And just you always wanted to watch it. Who Shot Mr. Burns, or there was one of my favorite episodes was when Ralph Wiggum was trying to hit on Lisa. I don't know if you ever watched. Yeah. And then the one of the best lines ever was always going to be it's like, oh, this is a Malibu Stacy car. Look in the trunk. I think he means trunk.
I choose you.
That's right. I choose you. Indeed, that's right. All right.
All right,
so
sir, to your number 4.
My number 4 is going to be Married with Children. Watching Married with Children. I mean, at my adolescence, youth. I mean, you got Kelly Bundy smoking hot, all of her friends. Al Bundy, who's like your hero, just the guy that you want to root for, because I mean, dude, all he wants to do is just watch TV and just look at Biggins all day and go to the titty bar. I mean, like again, I was like, wow, is that what adults do? Like, is that what you guys do? Is go to the titty bar like half the time and then do this or do that?
That's what adult men do. That's what they want to do anyway.
So I mean, it was very groundbreaking for me. I loved all the comedy that was written to it. Marcy Darcy. When Jefferson came in, who was it? Oh gosh.
Oh, are you going to totally pass up Steve?
Oh no, Steve was great too.
Go straight to Jefferson.
Yeah, well, I love Jefferson. Jefferson was hilarious. Like I just remember when they did when they went to the California. It was like going to California. They were looking for gold, and like, I just remember when they were on there, and like Marcy was drinking out of a cup. He goes, "Oh, baby, do you want some water?" And then Jefferson's like, "That's not water. That's sweat," because they're so hot, and then they're trying to find gold. And it's just
Jefferson always wore those like Hawaiian shirts for some reason.
Yeah, he was a secret agent in the show, or like so they seem, but. Steve was hilarious too. I mean, especially what was one of my favorite episodes of Steve was when it was the shoe doctor. It was when Steve gave Al the loan to create his own shoe. It was a shoe hotline. It was a 555 shoe.
I vaguely remember that.
Oh man, it's so good. And so it's just there's a lot of different quotes on there, and of course you cannot get away with that stuff now. Oh my god, if they had this show on syndication now, like no, that would not
No,
work.
not especially not with No Ma'am.
Oh, with No Ma'am. I mean,
Yeah,
just
that wouldn't fly today.
just the fact of all the plus size comments that they have on that show,
Yeah,
like nope,
yeah, and him calling Marcy a chicken all the time,
oh
like
yeah,
you cluck
Just
yourself back out the door.
That's right.
People would have a hissy fit.
Oh,
Everything
they would
Al
have
did
it.
was like, oh, you can't do that now.
No, no way in hell, no way in hell. So I mean, just but that was one of my favorite comedies, growing up. And again, it was a little risque, it was a little out there. And I don't know why my dad let us watch it. My mom was always working, right? So I mean, she was like asleep like half the time. She worked graveyard shifts, so it was like we got reprimanded by my mom, but like my dad would just be like, you can watch it, it's okay. But after that, it's okay, you gotta go to bed now. I'm like, oh, okay. So but yeah, so
I was a total Bud Bundy, by the way. That was me.
were you Grandmaster B?
Grandmaster B.
Grandmother B.
Didn't that all turn out to be a dream, right?
That came out to be a dream. Yep.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
And then she tells him about it. Who was it? Who had the dream? Oh, it was Al's dream, right?
It was Al's dream.
And he's like, wait, and you became he was telling him like about the dream. He's like, wow, that's really cool.
Cool, yeah.
I could wear my hat backwards.
That's right. That was, I think it was when Peggy was pregnant and she was about to have another baby.
With Seven, was it?
No, Seven.
No. Seven was the adopted one.
Seven was the
somebody
adopted,
left behind.
Right. That was Bobcat Goldthwait and his wife, and then they left Seven over there, and then like Al like went all the way to Wanker County and went to town on him. I was like, hey man, you can't leave him here. So yeah. So,
Wanker County, you gotta love the name of that, by the way.
Wanker County is the Peggy Wanker, so that was and damn, so many good episodes, man. Like when they went back to the high school reunion, that was hilarious too. It was like Peggy Wanker.
Yeah. Four touchdowns in a single game. Bet you can't do that now.
There's 4 touchdowns in a single game, Polk High.
I'm Al Bundy, inventor of the shoe light.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, Kelly walking around with the big old batteries on the just to put the flashlight on the shoe.
Yep, that's yeah.
So the reason I'm kind of like feeding into this because Married with Children's my number 4.
Get out of here! No way.
Yeah, totally my number 4. I'm like, we could talk about this all you want. It's on my list anyway.
God. Wow.
We need to get a sound effect for when our lists match up.
Yeah. You gotta get the sirens on there. Woo! Wow. Okay, so that's good. At least that's the first time it actually sank up. So mark it. Episode 3.
Episode 3. We both had the same number 4. Married with Children. That's how good it is. That's got to mean something.
Oh, that's got to mean something. I mean, like I said, Al Bundy, Peggy, the entire cast was just really, really good. So it was. I loved watching that show.
One of the great things about that show was the small things that they would point out. Obviously, the neighbors are meant to be the antithesis of the Bundys. Mm-hmm. Steve Rhodes was the opposite of Al Bundy, and then you had Marcy, who was like kind of headstrong, financially savvy, and had a career. Versus your Peggy, who had no career at all, had no ambition to do anything, and wild red hair versus like very short hair, brown, and they would take all these little jabs at each other, like constantly, even in regular conversations, but it seems so realistic. It's just like, Peggy, when you store your cups in the cupboard, you're supposed to put them upside down so the dust doesn't get in there. And I would be like, no, she does that on purpose. We let the dust accumulate and make hot cocoa. And I was just like, that is genius. Like, who even thinks of something like that? And it was like every little part of every conversation was like either a jab or a criticism or a statement of some kind. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, we can do a whole podcast alone on Married with Children. We need to just do a recap show of Married with Children.
We should. Top 5 Married with Children episodes of all time. Just saying.
Ooh.
Future topic. Just like I said, we'll see how it goes. Again, we got to go through our no holds barred. Yeah, right. Got to put it in there. No holds barred, no genres. Let's move on because it looks like we synced up on this one. So, my number 3, DuckTales, bar none. One of the best animated shows. Like
Tailspin was amazing. Art. Yeah. They were really underrated shows, and it was weird because they had cartoons that got into a point where they were still about something. They still try to deliver some kind of lesson in the episodes, but it wasn't so blatant in your face as it was in the 80s. In the 80s, it's like, and this is why we brush our teeth. And that's what the whole episode surmounted to. And then, you know, by the time you got to like DuckTales and all these Disney ones, your Tailspins, Darkwing Duck, you know, Darkwing Duck was real big on like, oh, and then he would do this because of his ego and because he was worried about being embarrassed and all this. And it's like, oh, see how that didn't work out? And they didn't point it in your face. You saw by example. It was just like, oh, okay, you know, Scrooge is being extra greedy today, and look where that got him. Like, oh, okay, that doesn't work. Don't do that in life.
That's right. Or don't ignore
super greedy.
Yeah, don't ignore the nephews here. You know, because look what will happen. Like if you ignore the nephews or don't give them their allowance, they're gonna extend the year by an extra day to get their allowance, and then cause this whole crazy world to move the world by one day, and then like. Miss the deadline and all this other stuff. It's just
right. Don't try to cheat the system. Right?
Exactly.
Like,
so
learn
that was
to be patient and wait for to get what you earn, not like try to cheat. And it was great because those messages were in there. Don't ask me if I caught them at the time. Oh, yeah. I probably went over my head or something, but subconsciously it was probably sinking in. Or like, oh, see, they shouldn't have did that.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, they shouldn't have stole his number one dime. That's not what happens when you steal his number one dime.
The number one dime.
Yeah, man. I always, it's funny because, growing up, you always think it's number one dime. Like, why is it so valuable? Like, you think it's like worth millions of dollars. No, the reason why it was so valuable to him is because that was the first thing he ever earned.
Yep.
And, Magic of the Spell always wanted to have that damn dime because, it was so valuable to him. Right. And that was like his, that was the whole shtick. And again, growing up, you're just like, why is this dime so dang important, or whatever? I know he's rich, but why, this is my number one dime. And this is like, why, but
he got all depressed once when it got taken. I think Flint Heart Glomgold took it.
Yep.
And he went into like this depression over it because they didn't know where it was. And so speaking of that specific episode about this, they had an episode where they talked about the significance of the number one dime.
Right.
And when he first got it, which was I think, I was this whole thing of him on a steamship and working. So that is the lesson I took from DuckTales that I still carried with me as an adult. Because the theme of that was work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
And everything they threw at him was like, oh, here, you're going to shovel this coal and for the steam to work because it was like a steam operated ship. Right. And so he put a bicycle with some a tape on it or whatever, and it was just shoveling. And he just had the pedal. He's like, nope, work smarter, not harder.
Not harder. That's like, right.
And I always remembered that from that show. Work smarter, not harder. Hard work is not going to get you as far as being smart.
The other one in that same episode was when he had to do the coals in the ground and like, you're going to take forever to make any type of profit with these coals. And then he had a whole stampede of elephants like go over the coals and made diamonds.
Oh, yeah,
right. So I'm just like, dude, I'll work smarter, not harder. But you're absolutely right. That is one of the mantras that I always try to live by, which is always work smarter, not harder. Number 3, sir.
My number 3 is Friends.
Okay, yeah, that was definitely one of the top ones there. Absolutely, and I would, I have to admit, I would have never thought of you being a Friends fan.
Oh yeah, got it on DVD.
Okay.
I used to watch it like all the time. Getting hurt watching the 3 chicks on the show. But it was a well-structured show, and a lot of people were more into Seinfeld. I think Seinfeld a little bit predates that. So my favorite character was always Chandler.
Okay.
And I think one of the episodes that stand out for me was when they made him the bet that he couldn't go, I think it was like a week without making a joke or making fun of someone. And so he took the bet, of course, because it's an episode.
Because it's an episode, sure.
And he's like, of course. And so all these things are happening. He's just like, you knew the character so well by that time. You're like, you knew he wanted to say something, and he's just like, oh, like he went to. And so Ross had met some chick in the cafe, and he's like, "Oh, I got her number. Her name's Elizabeth Hornswoggle." Hornswoggle. And Chandler's just like, oh. And so eventually he gives up and he just starts like going off on everyone. And because he was just my favorite. And And I remember he had the third nipple. I think he eventually got that removed in like a later episode.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Ant-Man was on there.
Oh yeah, with Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's great.
He was with Phoebe, and Phoebe had the twin sister, which I thought was cool, who was the bad Phoebe.
Mm-hmm.
So many things to go back to.
Yeah, I my personal favorite on that will always be when they had the Friends not game show, but it was the Friends trivia when Ross was.
What was Monica's name when she played hockey? Big Fat Goalie.
That's right. What was it? Or like what was the he goes, what was Joey's imaginary friend's name? It was like, and what was his occupation? Space cowboy. Yeah. So, or what was it? What was on the TV guide? Chandler Bong. No, Miss Chandler Bong.
We steal their TV guide every week. How do you not know this? I knew it.
You see this? What?
I think the chemistry of the cast is what made that show so great. It was like effortless with them. Like, it probably didn't help they were getting paid $1 million an episode, but I totally bought the relationship. I think the most unbelievable part is when they would just go to each other's house, like nobody ever locked doors or anything in like New York.
Yeah.
And I think Seinfeld also had that problem where Kramer's always just coming in like, really, you guys just don't lock your doors like at all, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you just don't lock your door, and like he just comes in, Leatherface and all with a cigar and just like smoking up a storm. Like,
classic episode. Chandler just walks into the house, and I think Rachel's like naked.
Mm-hmm.
And she grabs the Afghan to cover herself. He's like, that has holes, right? He can still see through it. And so she spends the rest of the episode like plotting to see him naked or something just to get even with him. And I was like, that's actually happened to me in real life. I can totally see that.
Oh my God. I don't even know if I want to go into that side.
Yeah, when we're not recording, I'll tell you the story.
Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait for that. Number 2 or number 4, depending on what how you're counting. Wheel of Fortune.
Oh wow!
Pat Sajak, Vanna White.
They're still alive?
They are still alive, believe it or not. Pat Sajak looks pretty good for his age. Vanna, though, you can definitely tell the work's been there, but. One eye, I'm going to say that, the work's been there for Pat too. But I love the heck out of Wheel of Fortune. And it's, I know, right? Wheel of Fortune slot machines, Wheel of Fortune shows, like just anything Wheel of Fortune, I'll be like, yes, I will buy that E. We watch it almost religiously every night. It comes on at 7:00 on NBC, and we watch the heck out of those shows. And I love watching
Ovaltine.
Oh yeah, drinking my Ovaltine for sure.
My feet.
Oh yeah,
watching Wheel of Fortune.
Just believe it. Not only that, but I will also watch Jeopardy too. In fact, I would have said Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy had I had more options on there because both of those shows are just. And one of the things that I truly enjoy about watching Wheel of Fortune, it's not necessarily solving the puzzle. Solving the puzzle is definitely part of the fun, of the show, sure. But what's really fun for me is watching the really, really, really salty contestants on the show get no money. That's my favorite part of the show. So let me give you an example. So you have, contestant 1, Anthony, who's, nice guy, whatever. And he spins the wheel, gets his letters, and then he solves the puzzle. Great. Then you have Rodel, who's, greedy. He spins the wheel. He has almost the entire, thing solved, but he doesn't want to solve it because he wants to have more money. He spins it one more time, hits that bankrupt. So the lady that I remember seeing, man, she had the most stankiest face I've ever seen on a game show. Like you can just see, she just wanted to put her hand on her hip, was just like, I'm like, oh my God. And I don't know if I remember correctly. I don't remember if she was being greedy about it or it just didn't land her in her favor. Because there's 2 types of shows, and this is how much I've watched this show. There's the people that get too greedy, where they just spin the entire way, or there's the people that just land on something, and it just so happens that they land on bankrupts every single time, which is just unfortunate, right? Like you can't you can't control that, right? But I mean, you can control how many times you spin if you're still winning or whatever. So I always imagine myself being like, man, if I ever got on that show, man, I would never like if I knew what the answer was, I'm not solving it. I don't care. I don't care. I just no, because I don't ever want to have to be in a situation where I would be the salty guy and people recording me going like this. Like, you know, like I just don't want it. I don't want that in my life. So
can I tell you which guy I would be?
What would you be, sir?
I would be that one person who's just like, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and solve it, Pat. The Great American Cream. Sorry, that is not correct. You're off by like one letter, and you just screw the whole thing up. It's like, I'll solve it, Pat. The Great American Dream. It's like, and they put that emphasis to correct you. Like, wow, and you're just there on camera, like, how did I screw that up? And I was so arrogant before I decided to say the answer, and I was so and it's like, and you're wrong. So I'm on my number 2, right?
You are on your number 2. Yes, that's correct.
My number 2 is, we mentioned it earlier.
What's that?
Archer.
All right, good deal.
And this was one of the ones that was so we've done 3 lists so far. This is our third one.
This is our third one, yes.
And on each one so far, if you want to establish a pattern out of 3, there's always a variable one that you can take or leave, that like kind of like a placeholder, unless you can find something better, it just stays there. My one for movies was The Matrix, right? When I put The Matrix on the last list, I was just like, it'll work, but you know, it's a placeholder because I can't think of something better until it came up with Die Hard. And then I'm like, yes, this is coming right off of my list.
That's right.
And this is what I stuck Archer in there. I really like Archer. I like Archer well enough that I knew the new season was supposed to come out. I think it's season 12.
Yeah, they're up there.
I want to say 12 or 13. So I did a rewatch. I started all the way from the beginning and watched it all the way till now, not knowing that, guess what, it's not coming out because of COVID. So now it's on delay. Right. And from what I'm hearing, like people are like recording in their closet, like the chick that plays his mother and everything, like, you know, they're like in their closet still trying to get it done and everything like that. But it's on hold. I don't know when it's coming out. So I did a whole rewatch of the whole series just to see, like, I thought it was funny back when I first started watching it. I was like, well, if I watched it again, is it going to have the same magic for me? Because I've heard the jokes and I know the characters well. And Archer, truthfully, it's a lot of running gags. It's you know, phrasing, like, oh, you know, they use the same jokes and they carry them over and over and over, season to season. And I was like, let me see if I'm still gonna find this funny. I was still laughing out loud at some of the stuff that was like in the earlier episodes, and it's just like, oh, that happened season 2. I thought that was like season 4, and I still really enjoyed doing a watch through. I got all the way to the end, all the way to the current storyline, where I have to wait on the next one to come out. Right. And I asked myself, I was like, if I was going to watch it all over again, would I still enjoy it again? And I was like, yeah, I could watch all that all over again with no problem. Sure. Know the characters well, know all the jokes and everything really well, and the themes that they're carrying out. And then the last three seasons are not even canon, right? Because he's been in a coma. And it's all just been like him and like the coma dream stuff. Like none of it counts for anything. Wow. They took it as an opportunity because now somebody new is taking over the show. It's not Adam Reed anymore. Okay. So he used the last 3 seasons of that show to kind of like go crazy with it and really experiment. And he was putting them in all these different scenarios. You had Archer in Danger Island, where he's like a pilot, a one-eyed pilot and stuff like that. They had Archer in space. They had Archer like back in the 30s or 40s, playing like an old school detective sleuth. And so he got to really play with all these storylines and not have to keep it in a current time and them being secret agents and all. I know they're going to go back to that storyline with the new producer that's on it. But it was cool that they got to kind of play around a little bit and do some different stuff that doesn't affect the natural storyline.
I gotta admit, I've watched Archer. I never really got into it, not because I didn't like it. I think it was because it was a little brash. There's a lot of, it's just a lot of, you know, I don't think it's fart jokes mostly. It's very brash, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
We did it here. We're at number 1. This show also is also where my first ever crush was. This show is Saved by the Bell. Screech, the nerd, super duper nerd, and you had Zach,
Dustin
the cool
Diamond.
guy. Dustin
I
Diamond.
know him from the porn scandal.
Yes, indeed. And then you
and
had
stabbing some dude.
Then you had Mark Paul Gosselaar, who was Zach Morris, who was the cool dude, Mr. Blonde himself. And then you had who everybody wanted to be Zach, right? No one wanted to be Slater or Screech. But Slater was fun because, like I say, he was like the closest thing that we had as, ethnicity goes. Like, ooh, like, are you Filipino? Nah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think you're pretty Hispanic. And later on in the college years, because yes, they went to college. He had like it was like a Hispanic 101 or Hispanic cultures, and like he came, really, really all about Hispanic pride and all that. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And it was kind of funny. It was really corny, but it was kind of funny. And then, Zach Morris had some Indian in him, right? He had some, I think it was like Cherokee or something. And yeah,
the blonde guy?
Yeah. That was one of the episodes. Like he was doing some heritage. He was doing some heritage.
Was there? So I'm assuming there was a message behind that. Like,
yes, there was. It was. I think the message.
Don't kill Indians anymore because you might be part Indian, and
No,
even though you look super white.
No, it was more along the lines of don't forget your lineage, or don't think that you're, like. I think it was more along the lines of don't forget your heritage. You have this much, you have this much blood in you, or like it was like one of those like Star Wars things. No, it was like Spaceballs. Like, oh, this medallion, oh, you're a prince at the end, right? It's the same kind of concept with Zach. It was like, oh, you have this headband. Oh, this belonged to blah blah blah. He was a part of this tribe, and then he just kind of goes off in this tangent about like how he used to be a.
That just sounds weird. I mean,
I'll still watch it though all day long. In fact, there's actually
blonde surfer kid, right? And I'm supposed to just believe he's like part Native American.
Hey man,
I would think he was like, be proud of your heritage, Zach. It's like, well, he's probably from Germany or Netherlands or Switzerland. Like,
do you really think that would make good? Do you think that would make good TV? Like, hey, I want to look at my German lineage.
Why wouldn't Slater, the Spanish kid, be the one that's part Indian? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Well, you got to keep in mind, Slater was not the star of the show. It was Mr. Zach Morris. So he was the number 2, and always will be the number 2.
All right. Oh.
So yeah, I mean,
I haven't written a successful show yet, so I guess I'll leave it be. What do I know?
What do you know, man? I mean, I don't know.
You see this, white people? Next time you're kicking that Native American, remember, might be part Native American.
You might be part Indian for sure. So again, one of my favorite shows of all time, Embrace the Cheese. There was a tweet I saw the other day about my buddy. He posted, he said, "Where were you when Zach and Kelly broke up?" And it had like the whole video, and I'm just like, oh my God, I remember that episode. It was so sad.
I didn't know those characters were together. I didn't know any of them were together.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, like Zach dated every single girl in that show. I assumed
they were all getting it on behind the scenes, but I didn't know like any of them.
Aside from Screech, probably not.
I thought I heard that like they were like, oh wait, maybe I'm thinking of Melrose Place or one of those other shows.
Oh, it's probably like 90210 or something like that. I don't know.
They're all the same to me. I mean, Saved by the Bell was just a younger version of like Melrose Place and 90210. That's like those characters in high school to me. That's how I.
Yes, so, but it was so.
I didn't watch any of them.
I mean, come on, man. You had Johnny Dakota, dude, and he was just like, don't do drugs, and then he's doing drugs on the side, and it's like this whole PSA commercial.
Who the hell is Johnny Dakota? Is that a person? Is that a real character? Or he was a
character. He was a character in one of the episodes where he was a big movie star, and he was doing a PSA announcement.
Which show are we talking about?
We're talking about Saved by the Bell. I'm telling you, this is.
And was this guy part Native American? Because his name sounds Native American.
I'm telling you, this is the show that This is groundbreaking television here. This deserves daytime Emmys. I'm telling you.
And Spanish.
He's not Spanish. He's Johnny Dakota. He was a big movie star, and he was doing a PSA announcement for don't do drugs. And then in the middle of the show, you see him smoking weed. And then they're like, why are you doing it? And Kelly was trying to get with them. I'm like, what are you doing, Kelly? You're not supposed to get with the guy that's smoking weed.
Oh, because she likes the bad boys.
I'm telling you,
This
man.
is why you could never land her.
Friend zone. Friend zone
all day.
All day.
You're getting Dustin Diamond all day.
Oh man, don't. No.
You're getting Bud Bundied over there, dude. You're too nice.
Anyway, number 1 / number 5, Anthony. Last one, sir.
My number 1. Yep. Original Twilight Zone.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
Best show that ever existed. I have yet. I think Black Mirror probably comes the closest to being. And I can't say it's always sci-fi because there were not always sci-fi. Some of them were more of a supernatural and some were political and all this. But Black Mirror has come the closest to making something where the thought process is a little beyond the box and yet still being able to deliver a message about something. And that's the important part to me, is that there's a message in each one of those. So when you watch a Black Mirror episode, they're always kind of making a statement about how technology will ruin us or is ruining us or is controlling us. That's why it's called Black Mirror. It's the TV screen turned off or your phone turned off, still watching you, looking back at you. And Twilight Zone, I mean, they did that. I don't know if there would be a Black Mirror without the original Twilight Zone.
Sure.
Or Outer Limits was like another one, I think, kind of cribbed off of their Night Gallery. So the thing with Twilight Zone was that it was more, a lot of people watch it and they're just like, oh, it's a twist ending and it's aliens and it's this, and you didn't know, all these little episodes are like these little Shyamalan episodes where you didn't know what the twist was. And sometimes it would go one way and you're like, oh, that's the twist. Nope, that's the twist. And that was really ahead of its time for a regular show. They weren't movies. Rod Serling was constantly over budget because he always had a vision for what he wanted each one to be.
Crazy, man.
So many great classic episodes. So many episodes that people don't even know about. Like, people always know the big ones, To Serve Man.
Right.
When the aliens come down, they're like, we bring you, we come to bring you peace and the answer to like nuclear war and health and eternal life. And we just want some of you to come up and see our planet and it's gorgeous. And they leave the book behind and they're trying to decipher what the book is about. And finally, at the very end, the guy's like, you know what? I'm going to go with them. People are going. They seem really happy. These aliens, they seem to come in peace. And he's getting on the ship and he's on the ramp. And the lady finally runs out and she goes, I figured out the title. It's called To Serve Man. It's a cookbook.
Oh.
and he's like, the music just goes, do-do-it. And then so the alien's like, nope, too late, and starts closing the hatch, and the guy can't get out. And so at the very beginning of that episode, all you know is that the guy is in a room, and they're like, here's some more food. Eat. You must eat. And you don't know what's going on. He goes backwards and starts telling the story, and you realize they're just trying to get him to eat so that, because they're going to eat him up.
Yeah. Twilight Zone is streaming on Netflix, so I will definitely.
Oh yeah, it's that show's practical. I'm surprised not like everybody doesn't have it,
or it's they're not issued to you. It's not given to you. It's not given to you free like a box of Tide. But
I'm surprised Twilight Zone is not on Quibi.
I have no idea.
Popped up into little tiny mini episodes. Here's the Twilight Zone in 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes, yeah, right. No, that's not fun. I mean, I'd rather you just tell me all the episodes because then I'm just like, yeah, and then what happens? So hopefully, like I said, if I end up watching the entire thing, which I'm going to try, I will definitely, give it a fair shot and then maybe have a episode on it. Top 5 episodes, who knows, because then at least that way there'd be at least you'll have somebody to talk to, because I kind of feel bad, even though I had people to talk to about Saved by the Bell, because,
because it was a popular show.
It was a popular show and it was amazing. Just saying,
Hey, guys, did you see that episode where Burgess Meredith plays the devil? Shut up, nerd. Nobody cares about your weird black and white shows. Color exists now?
Yeah, right. Okay. Was it?
I got two colors for you, black and blue. Black's not actually a color.
Was your TV actually colored though? When that little TV that you were talking about when you're watching the Twilight Zone.
Trying to remember. I want to say yes, but I don't remember watching anything else on it.
Wow.
Oh, I got a lot of
dedicated Twilight Zone.
I just have a lot of blank areas in my memory towards those years. I don't remember. I know that we had one downstairs that definitely had color. Because that's when my mom used to watch like all the scary stuff that you don't like.
No.
And the one upstairs, I don't think I watched anything else on it. Not that I remember. I don't know.
Oh. All right. Well, that'll top us off for this podcast. Thank you guys very much for listening. We truly appreciate it. Again, if you can, please go ahead and subscribe to this on your favorite platform, whether it be Spotify, Apple, or Anchor, or YouTube. And don't forget to hit that bell so that way you can get notified of new episodes. My name is Rodel, and we have Anthony over here, and we wish you guys a good night. Thank you.